Ahsoka Part 5 Shadow Warrior. Hera arrives on Seatos where she finds Huyang with Sabine's helmet as he told her and Ahsoka to stay together, which, of course, they both ignored. While investigating Ahsoka's disappearance along with his mother, Jacen senses that Ahsoka is in the world between worlds, revealing to us his own connection with the Force. Meanwhile, in the world between worlds, Anakin explains to Ahsoka that he had been watching her through the Force, letting her know that she had lost to Baylan and that he was here to finish her training. Pretty random, but okay, we'll roll with it, I suppose. And let me just say that de-aged Anakin here looks 100 times better in this episode for some reason. I'm not sure why, if they maybe heard the criticism from last episode, or maybe the lighting is better here, no idea. But this is a good improvement nonetheless, and not only that, but it's a superb performance by Hayden Christensen as well. So this alone is a very good start to this episode. Ahsoka and Anakin begin dueling, which, by the way, is awesome and definitely one of the highlights in this episode. But it's not the best in my opinion, as we'll soon get to that, as Ahsoka ends up losing to Anakin and then proceeds to relive fragments of her past during the war. And oh yeah, now we're talking live-action Clone Wars, about time. We knew this was likely to happen, especially with Anakin and the world between worlds showing up, and it just gave me a big ol' smile the second I saw it. Like, come on, having Anakin storm the front line in his Clone Wars armor surrounded by Phase 1 clones? Just priceless. Yeah, it goes without saying that these Clone Wars flashbacks are without a doubt my absolute favorite parts in this episode. But at the same time, they're not perfect either, as it's a real shame that the continuous thick fog used in these scenes made the whole thing feel of a bit of a cheap fan film and claustrophobic. But I can see the argument being that the fog was perhaps done on purpose to remind us that none of this is real and it's all an illusion of vision, which is fair, but now I'm left wanting a full live-action series set in the Clone Wars and with no annoying fog. Oh, and live-action Rex is brilliant. I just need more Rex now. Come on, Filoni. Speaking of which, these flashbacks also gave us a younger Ahsoka too, which I honestly wasn't too crazy about the actress they chose for Ahsoka here, as not only for her looks, but her performance was a little flat too. Not terrible or anything like that, she was okay, but could have been better. Also, I know this is going to sound super nitpicky and all, but now that they're using live-action clone troopers, then I'd rather they stick to having lean actors in the suits, as the bulky and husky-looking clones that we see here kind of took me out of it since we're of course not used to seeing them like that. Sure, it makes sense for stormtroopers to have such varied physiques, but not for clones. Anyway, Ahsoka ends up refusing Anakin's teachings through the flashbacks, which essentially results in the whole thing kind of being a waste of time, and then leads to another duel between them. This time though, Ahsoka wins and says that she chooses to live and is soon woken up in the Seatos Ocean. And well, I don't know, but this whole entire world between worlds segment kind of confused me. As sure, while it looked pretty and I'm happy that we got it because it gave us a duel between Anakin and live-action Clone Wars flashbacks, at the same time though, I feel like I probably missed the whole point it was trying to give in this episode, as I didn't really get why Ahsoka was having to relive parts of the Clone Wars, and what that had to do with her current situation. She's not a fan of war and killing at the start of the flashbacks, and nor is she at the very end, which shows the whole thing was a waste of time, not making Anakin happy about it, hence why he goes all dark side. So again, what was the point? It just seemed to me like an excuse to give us a live-action Clone Wars, which, again, don't get me wrong, is awesome, and I'm glad they did it, but yeah. Other than that, I don't really understand the argument the show was trying to put forward with having done things this way. Nor do I see how this could count as additional training by Anakin, as he's not really doing anything. He's just having Ahsoka relive parts of her life that she already done. So none of this is new, nor am I sure of how this has to do with Ahsoka choosing to live, as I don't think she ever chose not to live in the first place. So yeah, if it was up to me, I'd probably have this whole world between worlds segment rather be Anakin trying to show Ahsoka that no matter what, had she not left the Jedi Order, then she wouldn't have been able to stop Anakin from becoming Darth Vader no matter what. And I feel that would have been more powerful than whatever they were trying to do here. Not quite sure what Filoni was attempting to do. I think it could have been handled a bit better here to give an overall stronger impact, and well, that's my opinion. Having said all of that, we're still not sure also whether this is actually Force Ghost Anakin communicating with Ahsoka through the world between worlds, or perhaps the Force manifesting itself as Anakin because he's a familiar figure to Ahsoka and one that she would listen to. I mean, if Anakin keeps showing up again, then I think we'll eventually find out the answer to this. But I did like how Anakin is now depicted as being the balance of the Force, which he should be, as he's both Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker, both light and dark, switching back and forth on a dime, and I thought that was brilliant. Anyway, thanks to Jacen, Ahsoka is recovered by Hera's crew from deep in the water, which makes you wonder how she didn't drown this entire time. Heh. And well, after a day's rest, she comes out wearing white robes now, which I suppose at this point is when she's become Ahsoka the White after her near-death experience by Baylan. And that's cool, as she not only gets an aesthetic update, but seems to be, at least to me, more cheerful and far less stoic than she was before. And that's a good thing, as it's just like the Ahsoka that we all know and love, and that's a major improvement already. She then proceeds to use Force Echo to learn that Sabine is now with Baylan, knowing that she now has to go save both Ezra and Sabine together. Meanwhile, Hera is contacted by Mon Mothma, who informs her that the New Republic forces are en route to take her and Ahsoka into custody for questioning. And well, this whole conversation with Hera and Mon Mothma is not great at all. Especially when Mon keeps asking Hera for evidence for so-and-so, Hera says she's got nothing when, come on, is not true at all. I mean, she doesn't have all the evidence, but she's got enough of it. She's got a dead Inquisitor corpse, which at this time, where Inquisitors don't exist anymore, that means a lot. Plus eyewitnesses to seeing the Eye of Sion disappear right in front of them. And she suffered a couple of casualties too, yet she doesn't mention any of that to Mon. I don't know why. Like, to be fair, I'm kind of on Mon Mothma's side here, because if you're talking to Hera and you're asking for evidence and Hera's not giving you squat even though she has it, then yeah, how could you blame the New Republic for not believing a thing that Hera says? I know I wouldn't. The New Republic Defense Fleet, led by Captain Gerard, then arrives with Carson having to explain Hera's actions to them, while in turn, Ahsoka comes up with an idea on how to get to Sabine and Ezra, as she recruits a pod of Purrgil to take her and Huyang straight to the New Galaxy, which is a very creative and Dave Filoni explanation of how Ahsoka can still get there without the star map. I like it, but at the same time, it also makes you ask questions on why Ahsoka didn't think to do this years ago when she knew Ezra and Thrawn disappeared with and because of the Purrgil. Yeah, the episode then caps off with Hera, Jacen, and Chopper staying behind as the New Republic Defense Fleet see Ahsoka depart into the unknown while inside a large Purrgil. Overall, this was a pretty good and enjoyable episode. It's the most visually stunning episode we've got yet, and we get also another fantastic duel, this time between Ahsoka and Anakin, plus the live-action Clone Wars with Rex, tossed in with some Purrgil and some more of the New Republic fleet, which is always a plus for me, and you got yourself a pretty good time. So sure, it was good, and it felt like the most Ahsoka-centric episode to date, which honestly has been lacking, especially in a series that's dedicated to her and all. But I have to say that I wasn't particularly wowed in the same way with this as I was with the previous episode 4. Like, considering the insane amount of hype that this episode got, that it even had its own theatrical release and all, I was honestly expecting far more than what we got. And yeah, I think at the end, I let those incredibly high expectations hurt this episode for me, which is a bit unfortunate and I suppose a lesson to be learned not to buy into media hype. As I think without all of that hype and high expectations put upon it, I probably would have liked this episode even more. Still, it's a good episode, and the second best of the series for me so far, but as always, I'm already expecting the next episode to blow this one and everything before it out of the water. And that was my take on this episode of Ahsoka. Let me know what you all thought about the episode in the comments below. And if you haven't already, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.